Real estate, I think, is heading and where it is now and what's kind of been happening this year. One thing that I read on the way up with Mike was there's $19 billion invested in real estate technologies in 2019. That's not going to stop, okay? So what does that mean to you and your business is you need to stay relevant to your clients. Building relationships and staying in touch with your database today is more important than it's ever been in the past. Mike came in, about a month ago and did a training on keeping up with your database. Hopefully you all came to that meeting and were participatory in it and are taking what he said to heart, because all the feedback I got was that was spot on. So some of the things that I think that you need to do differently going forward to stay in front of your clients, who's sending out the newsletter? Right, we have about a third of the room. The newsletter keeps you in front of them. We have the e-newsletter that goes out the third week of the month. Who sends out that? 2 people, 3 people. So you need to stay in front of your people. Doing those things are automatic. They should be no-brainers that you're doing. If you want to go deeper with your relationships, one of the things that I think you should do is send birthday cards to your clients and your clients' kids with a $5 gift card for ice cream someplace, right? Nathan's Ice Cream, as an example, out in Manassas. At a minimum, you should send them a market update as to what's happening with their property value. My tax assessment went down this year, right? Which is good. So I could, there just weren't a lot of sales. Other people, their tax assessments went up as much as 25%. Well, if you show them market values that they go appeal their tax assessment, that's going to give you a value add. So you don't only just send it, but you call and follow up and say, hey, did you get that? I noticed your assessment went up. Again, keeping in touch with your people. We're going to be doing videos in front of the RE/MAX Gateway Step and Repeat over here. So getting videos out, and I have some more conversation on video here in just a minute as part of the technology talk. Dawn and Amy just had a client event, right? Where are Dawn and Amy? There they are back there. It was awesome. It was a great day. Got lucky with the day, which was awesome. But again, you send out the invitations, you call them to see if they're coming, they come to the event or not, and then you write them a thank you note after. Take pictures, post them all over social media. It gets great buzz about you, but again, you're able to build relationships with your people deeper and further. How much time did that take, ladies? Prep work? 10 hours? Less than 10 hours. And you had over 100 people go? So that's a pretty good return on your investment there, right? Of course, we always do calls, notes, and pop-bys. The other thing that you should do is send out sold cards to your database, letting them know that you are active in the business and that you're getting results for sellers and for buyers. So again, communication to build those relationships are going to be huge going forward because of all the technology that's out there, all the noise that's out there in our marketplace today, that they're distracting people and taking people away. Now, Nicole, can we do easily market updates in Remind?
Yes.
Yes. And everyone knows that Remind is now included in your MLS dues? Yes. And so Nicole's going to be giving us a presentation on Remind and how best to use that. And you can use it to further your business, but also help build your relationships. The other thing is you need to build those databases bigger. And joining networking groups, open houses, doing seminars. Al, you go to seminars with Andre. He does them for USDA. How many people does he have on average at those? 25 people at home buying seminars. Would you like to meet 25 people looking to buy a house? I think home buying seminars are a good way to do that. So you have to start to think about going back to old school real estate stuff, real estate 101, that like when Chris Dominic got in the business and Gary got in the business 30 years ago, that they used to do a lot of and kind of maybe slipped away from doing those things. Working the rental program that I've talked about with everybody, those are people that need to move in the next 3 months, 2 to 3 months. They're going to either rent another property or they're potentially going to buy, and then you have absentee owners that you can market to about renting their house for them or selling their house. Also writing a blog and boosting it to audiences on Facebook and Instagram. Starting communities on Facebook. I know, Al, you started your Eastgate, and how's that? That's growing, right? So the community that Al lives in, he did that. But you could do one for sports, for parents, schools, neighborhoods, if you're a foodie. I mean, start to think outside the box of what you can do with these Facebook communities to get people engaged and to grow your database. Once you start talking about, you know, food things, and then you say, hey, so what do you do? This is what I do. It just, again, it's a way to meet people, add people to your database. Something else is doing videos with principals, owners of local companies, throwing housewarming parties for your buyers, right? It's a great way for them to invite everybody that they know to come, and you can add them to your database, set up a referral vendor guide. You know, so what are some other things that you guys can do that you think that will help you grow your database? Because the database is going to be the lifeline of your business. And if you're not talking to them, somebody else is. And you know it because it happens. You go and you look back and you see that somebody bought a house from somebody else and sold their house, right? Happens all the time. So it's the first person to the consumer who wins. So what do you think the percentage is of number of people who interview one agent when they're buying or selling a house? 70% interview one person. So that's why you need to be first. Okay? So the other area that I think you need to pay attention to going forward is the demographics. Okay? So people are aging. In mid-June of 2018, there were 10,000 people turning 65 every day. There's 77 million baby boomers. So what are those people going to have to do? Downsize, right size, right? They need to remodel their house, perhaps, right? They don't want to lose their location. They want to stay where they are. They're going to remodel. Is that an opportunity for you? Yes, to refer vendors to them if they're not going to move. Hey, I've got a great contractor who can help you. So you have to think along those lines. Baby boomers control 70% of the disposable income in the U.S., and 76% of them own their own home, and 41% of those are mortgage-free. So you can do creative financing with baby boomers to help them get into their next property, right? 15% are looking to move in the near future. So that means 8.8 million sales and buyers if they're going to buy, if they're going to right size and go down. So think about that. That's a big opportunity. 66% are planning on renovating in the next 3 years, and then we get to the millennials. Okay, there's 80 million millennials. They outnumbered the baby boomers just this year. 37% of them are aged 25 to 34, and they own homes. So 37%. So when people say baby boomers aren't buying houses, millennials aren't buying houses, they really are. The thing that's really not good, and I think I was saying this to Jennifer, they're disproportionately white, well-educated, and married, which is hard to believe the millennials that are buying houses, that's that categorized. There's projected to be 1 million purchases over the next 10 years of millennials, and 22% of them live at home. So there's 14 million opportunities there. So demographics are huge in what people are doing. On that demographic front, first-time buyers are 33% of the market. 52% of the buyers are 29 to 38, and 86% of buyers 28 years and younger were first-time buyers. So there's an opportunity out there in the first-time buyer market. One thing that I thought was really interesting is on the percent of buyers in their age category for buying houses was people under 28, 87% of them used a realtor. And they were used a realtor that referred them. So again, your database is extremely important to maintain contact with. 93% of people use the internet. Here it is. So 87%, 28 years and younger use a realtor. 29 to 38 was 84%. And then 54 to 63 was 89%. So you can see, and then most of the people are finding their house through a realtor. So you have to stay in touch with people to stay in that game with them. So the other thing what can you do with these designations? Or what can you do to enhance your presence with these buyers and sellers and then potential buyers? I think getting designations would be one. We did the SRES training down in Lorton. We had 22 people get that SRES designation. We have predictive analytics tools, right, with Remind. That's going to be one thing that you all should start to look at. People who have lived in their house for 30 years or more, don't have a mortgage, you know, have a 3,000 plus square foot house that have nobody living at home with them, boom, that's a potential target for you. So looking at predictive analytic tools, home buying seminars, wedding shows, maybe partnering with a nursing home or step-down care facility like Green Springs or Leisure World. I wanted to not say that, but and then what's the Horizon, Sunrise, places like that. Okay, so going in and seeing how you can help them, because a lot of people. My mother-in-law, she was in Fairfax Nursing Home, and over 50% of the people in there had no family. So those people need help, right? So when they're moving into those facilities. And just think of some other things that you can do to take advantage of the demographics that are out there that are going to be leading the way in our business in 2020 and beyond. So the next thing we had, okay, are the technology trends. And what's my number one technology tool? Video. Video, yes. All right, so 85% of all internet users watch video. 54% of consumers want more video content. 87% of marketing companies use video as a marketing tool. If marketing companies are using them, what are you? First and foremost, what business are you in?
Lead generation.
Lead generation business is what you're in, Paul. You remember that from 7.5 years ago. But you are a marketer. So if marketing companies on on Madison Avenue are using video, you should be using video too. 66% of video marketers get more qualified leads through video. Consumers spend 88% more time on websites that have video. When offered text or video for learning about a product or service, 72% of consumers chose video. Mike and I were talking about this on the way up, and I'm going to go to Mike Farrell's office and do videos. He doesn't know that yet. But and it's going to be on what happens next in the process. We have the home buyer guide and home seller guide, and it's in there, and it tells people, but they always say, so when's the home inspection? And what's a home inspection, right? So if you do videos, so watch the video that you send them in an email before it happens versus reading a book that you give to them initially, right? So I think it's true in real estate as it is in other areas of businesses. 1.5 billion people search YouTube per month and play over 1 billion hours of video per day. Do you think you need to do videos?
Yes.
Who doesn't think they need to do videos?
Mike doesn't.
Yes, you need to do videos to be relevant, right? Instead of sending a birthday card, what if you sang happy birthday to them to your clients in a video and sent that to them with a link to a gift card to Starbucks or to an ice cream store? You think they're going to watch that? Who got my videos? Chanel, you got a video. Was that a good thing to do? Video text for her birthday last week. She just turned 29. All right.
28.
28, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not good at math. I didn't have a calculator. Okay, next is going to be blockchain. Who's familiar with blockchain? Gary is. Gary, did you go to those blockchain in real estate? You didn't go through those things? I thought you did. Okay, this is very important. This is the way things are going to go.
Takes a second. blockchain real estate platform. With ShelterZoom's next generation mobile app and browser widget, you can feel the power of blockchain right in the palm of your hand. At ShelterZoom, we thrive on streamlining the property buying, selling, and renting process. We be in control by providing the most transparent, secure, and efficient experience from offer to acceptance. After finding your dream home on any of our ShelterZoom affiliate websites, you can instantly place your offer from anywhere by clicking on the Offer Now button and filling out an offer submission form. For renting, you can fill out a rental listing application within minutes by clicking on the Rent Now button found on participating ShelterZoom affiliate websites. You can also quickly and easily enroll other parties into the deal to create a virtual negotiation room where you can track and aggregate as well as accept, reject, or counter all offers in real time via your dashboard. Every action in the deal will be recorded by our Ethereum-based smart contract blockchain technology, delivering the most transparent and secure way for every party in the deal to drive the offer process from start to finish. Instant chat, document management, digital offer agreement signing on blockchain, and customizable forms to support any country, region, or site requirements are just a few cool features of our platform. And information is only accessible by parties in the deal. There is simply no way for any outside force to alter the contract without notice. Harness our revolutionary features and benefits to start earning more in less time as we continue to pioneer the real estate industry as the definitive blockchain real estate platform. The future of real estate is finally here. Don't get stuck in the past by missing out on the opportunity. Join the revolution by signing up at shelterzoom.com and download our app on the iOS and Google Play app stores. Think real estate, think ShelterZoom.
Okay, so what is ShelterZoom going to take the place of? Dotloop. Yep. And what's the problem with Dotloop? Zillow owns them, and they're mining the data from everybody across the country that's using Dotloop. So, John and Mike, are you guys talking about blockchain at all as a solution? Not yet? Yeah. It's coming. ShelterZoom is the first company to do it. Blockchain technology is the technology behind Bitcoins. And that's really, in talking with financial people over the last couple of years when I was thinking maybe about investing in Bitcoins because my nephews were and they were making lots of money, they were saying the only thing that's going to come out of it, especially in the finance arena, is blockchain technology. So it's a secure way of doing business. And again, as we said, the only people that can see the transaction are the people that are invited into the transaction. We're going to talk about commission also. Do you see this as a way for consumers to go and do a for sale by owner and have a buyer go in and go directly without using an agent? So I think they're going to be part of the commission reduction process that we're going through and could be going through in the future as well. So I think blockchain is definitely something to look at. I'm in communication with them because I want to get off of Dotloop as soon as we can, right? So that we're not giving Zillow our information. Anyway, effective use of email campaigns for consumer engagement. If anybody has a BombBomb account, you know you can go and you can schedule things. There's also a Hootsuite to go in and schedule things. But if you have it, and we have Josh from Remax coming from Denver, and he's going to talk about email campaigns, set up in booths and things along those lines. And we can, when we have the breakouts, we can talk to him about that kind of stuff. But again, another way for you to stay in front of your consumers and the people that you add to the database is going to be a big thing. And so the one thing that is important to know is that you can't rely strictly on technology for keeping in front of your people. You got to make phone calls, you got to have client events, you've got to send out snail mail newsletters, you have to go and see them, you have to, invite them to reverse pie events. You have to, which I know Al's doing that with his team, where people are coming to the office to pick up their pies. Inviting them to Breakfast with Santa that we have coming up. We have 2 of those events. One is December 7th and one is December 14th. So depending on where you can be and where your clients live, you have 2 opportunities to bring them. Chris is going to be Santa at both events. Come on, Chris. We have the disruptors and disintermediators that are trying to eliminate realtors. Much like that Offer Now or Rent Me Now, Redfin has that on their website, right? They're trying to eliminate buyer agents. There's companies out there. One is called Rex Homes. Rex Homes only works with sellers, and only the sellers only compensate buyers. Pacific Northwest Association of Realtors is allowing realtors to publish commissions on their website, and it's the buyer agent commissions are published on the Northwest MLS's website. So they're trying to make it more transparent as to what buyer agents are receiving. And then also we have iBuyers. Everyone's familiar with iBuyers? Basically, they are We Buy Ugly Houses, Home Buyers Express, Home Buyers America, those kind of companies, but they're on the internet. So Zillow, Open Door, Redfin Now, Knock, OfferPad, those are all companies that are trying to eliminate agents, right? And so, especially buyer agents in those scenarios. It's easy to use, it's a simplified process, typically cash. They select their own settlement date. You know, they sell, you don't have to have any showings, you don't have to stage your house, you don't have to fix it up, move when you want to move. The one thing that they don't tell you as a seller of the property is you're getting fleeced because they charge you a fee between 6 and 12.5%. But they say, you don't have to pay those overpriced realtors. That's what they sell. Is, you know, you're paying a realtor too much money, come work with us. And so they have convenience fees, they have service fees, they have fix-up fees. They're really feeding the sellers to death, but the sellers are caught up in this. And again, if you're not in front of them, they may get swept up in the emotion of, I just want to make this easy, right? So the other thing is, right now, they are, in some markets, responsible for 9% of the purchases, like in Phoenix. And down in Raleigh, North Carolina, they're responsible for 8% of the purchases. So they're cutting out realtors, right? Reducing commissions, and right now, nationally, they make up 0.2% of all purchases, but going forward, they're going to make up, they're looking to get a 200% increase this year. Zillow said that they're going to be a $22 billion company by 2023, and $20 billion of the $22 billion that they're going to be is from purchasing houses. So they are really going full steam ahead with that process. And then, of course, you have the discount brokers that are going to be putting downward pressure on our commission, like Rex Homes and Redfin, where, you know, the rebates are offered. So again, if you're showing value in what you do, and Rob and Zinta are going to be interviewed on that later today, as tomorrow morning. Thank you, Jennifer. On that, so you guys can sleep on it overnight, see how you're going to add value, and see how Rob and Zinta do it. Also, we have a class action lawsuit against realtors and real estate companies plus NAR on buyer agency fees. So all these things I think are going to lead to a reduction, further reductions in our commission. But again, if you're out there proving your value, proving your worth, you won't have to negotiate as much. And then John, I'm going to ask you about the Department of Justice and what they did with loan officer fees, and what the Department of Justice is now looking into real estate commissions as well. So there's going to be some similarities there that we remember. And then, again, I talked about the blockchain technology and companies having that to, again, make it easy to use. And the customer experience is what people want to have. At a conference up in New York, the question, the number one thing is buyers of homes, when interviewed after buying houses, their number one thing was, it took too long, right? And the question that they had was, they could go in and they could buy a $400,000 Rolls Royce and drive it off the lot and drive it down to Mexico or up to Canada, never make another payment, right? But yet, to get a house, it takes 30 days, right? So, again, blockchain technology, they think, is going to speed up that process, but the consumer wants to get into that house sooner. Now, obviously, we know it's a timing issue in a lot of instances where somebody has to move out and move in and all that, but again, ease of use is what the consumer is looking for. So, things that you need to do, again, how you're going to show your value and maintain your commission rates, as well as differentiate yourselves from the competition and sell against companies and the internet, and how we let the consumer know that you're here to protect and build their wealth. And that's what I think is a good thing for you to say is, that, you know, I'm a real estate agent that protects and builds your wealth. What other way can you build wealth faster than real estate? Besides Bitcoin. So you can do Bitcoin here. And then what you're going forward planning on creating a customer experience that is worth the money you earn. So I think if you make it worth their time and you show your value, that you'll get great returns on that. And then the fifth area that I think we need to pay attention to is going to be the political and economic landscape. All right. The China trade talks and tariffs, you know, this week they're making progress. I didn't check yesterday or today, but, you know, we're supposed to be making progress with them. There's a consensus on principles. You know, how's that going to affect us? Stocks went up initially, right? So we'll see how that does. Interest rates, will they go up or will they go down? We're in an election year, probably going to go down, but, you know, who knows? It all remains to be seen. And how you're going to communicate this to your clients so that they know if it's time to refinance, time to get their kids to buy a house, or time for them to move up or move down, depending on where rates are. And then, again, the election year, who's going to win and how does that affect real estate? And how will that affect you or our clients? One thing we've been talking about the last 6 months is the recession or economic slowdown. How's that going to affect us? Not at all, right? I think we're pretty well insulated. 81% of the time when there's a recession or economic slowdown, housing prices go up. The only time it didn't go, that it went drastically down was in the Great Recession, and it was all Mike and John's fault because of the loans they gave people. I mean, people outside the room, that was all their fault. People in their industry, right? So, what's that? Yeah, we have better lobbyists, so it wasn't our fault. So anyway, it's important to know that an economic slowdown, interest rates are going to come down. That makes more buying opportunities. Fewer houses are going to be for sale, so therefore inventory is going to stay limited. So that's going to keep prices stable. It's not like before, and I mentioned this in training on Monday, we did guaranteed buys and guaranteed leases for builders back in 03 to 07. And when the market crashed in 07, Centex had 328 spec houses completely empty in Northern Virginia alone, and they were a national builder. So just think about how much inventory there was out there, where today we're 30%, 28.5% below where we were last year, which is 39% below 2 years ago. So the lack of inventory is going to, I think, also protect us from a recession. Yeah, Chris.
Do you have a source on that 81% recession figure? Because I'd love to send that information, that resource to some people I've been talking to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Not with me here, but
Thank you. Cool.
And then the other thing is, you know, a lot of people think that new homes are going to be the answer. Basically what happened was from 08 to 12, maybe even 13, new home construction virtually stopped, right? Again, Centex had 328 vacant houses in 07, 08. So, but I think there's issues with people relying on new homes to be built. We're 1 million new home builds short a year, but construction costs are going up. And Dave and I were talking about this. He brought up the point when I was talking about the fires in California. What are the fires going to cost? $2 trillion, okay? So, if you have $2 trillion worth of homes and cars that are destroyed, a majority of it's going to be homes. What do those homes need? They need to be rebuilt. They need roofs. They need drywall. They need 2x4s. They need plumbing. They need windows. So what is that going to do to the cost of all those goods when those he's not going to go to California, but he's a storm chaser, right? He does, whenever there's a hailstorm, he's going to La Plata, Maryland. He's going to, Leesburg. He's going all over the place to repair roofs, windows, gutters, siding, the whole deal. Again, think of all the people that are going to go out to California to rebuild houses. That's going to put a shortage on workers here on the East Coast. So they're going to have to pay employees to build the houses more money. So that's going to increase the cost. So I think construction costs are going to go up so high, it's going to make it almost cost ineffective for builders to build, especially in our area with proffers and things along those lines. So keep an eye on the new home sales and then what the cost of construction is going to be. Housing affordability with the millennials and student loan debt and rising house prices, stagnant wages relative to price increases. So there's going to be ways that you guys can help people out. Great grant programs, I'm sure, that are available to first-time buyers to help them get into the houses. There's going to be different loan programs that can help them as well. When the Fed reduced the interest rate, what did that do to 30-year fixed rates? They went up a little bit, right? What did it do to 5-1 arms, 7-1 arms, 10-1 arms? They went down, right? So then we get creative with the financing. Most first-time buyers don't stay in their house more than 10 years, right? The average person stays in their house how long now? 13 years. Jennifer, remember. Good job. So, again, looking at those kind of things. So how are you going to educate your clients, the consumers and the public in these areas, to look at you as a valued resource? You got to get out in front of all these things, start talking about these things. Again, become a trusted and valued resource to not only the people that you know, but to people that they know. So ask them for referrals of people that they know that would like to get additional information like this from you. Okay? Does anybody have any comments on that? Additional comments? It's all good if you know if you come to trainings and you learn these things, or if you read, or if you watch blogs, or if you talk to other real estate professionals, mortgage and title people, you get out there and you're in front of it and you can educate people. And again, I think the best way of doing it is? Videos. All right. So, it's so important, again, that Mike's company built a studio. So they know the importance of video as well. So, what we'd like to do now is welcome you all today and tomorrow to this great event that Jennifer has worked so hard on. And so, thank you, Jennifer, for that. We have great sponsors. We have Mike Farrell from Main Street Mortgage. We have John Regano from SWC Mortgage. We have Sarah Rodriguez from Titan Title. We have Ron Nacero from Cinch. And then we have Able Moving, who's not going to be here, but they provided you with some mints. And then Echo Title, but Echo